Hey guys, how's it going? Just coming up with another video for you guys today. One thing I will say is after these past few patches is I don't feel all too much like you're getting railroaded into 2-star 4 costs. And maybe because I'm in lower elo masters right now, but I would like you guys to start when you play your game, start thinking more flexibly and start thinking about presenting strongest board. Don't always get railroaded into just playing a certain way. Try something outside your wheelhouse. And, you know, even if you did bad with it for a past game, give it another run for its money. You know, don't forget fundamentals or whatnot, but, you know, be open-minded to whatever you're playing, right? So usually when I get the Sentinel opener, I'm looking more to play towards KDA, so I'm holding on to superfan units like Kennen. And we're just gonna have a good time this game. You know, getting Cassante 2 in the early game is very strong now, guys, because they buffed him. I believe his mana pool is less. I'll start doing this for you guys too in the past, right? So, starting off, I'll go over the augments for you guys. Best Friends 2 at 2-1. This is decent, but you also want to start thinking about the intervals in which you get these, right? So, if you go into your first combat, you'll have 4 units, so you're only gaining, you know, a little bit of value out of 4 units for this. So 2 and 2 would both give value. I mean, it's decent, but like 3-2, this is better of an augment where you get another 2 units to get juice. Usually stage 2-1s is where you guys want to start looking for econ augments, but since it's silver, you're not going to be really getting any econ augments like treasure bag or whatever the hell it is, you know. So Best Friends is like decent, but you know, not really what you're looking for. Item grab bag is decent if all of your other stuff sucks, you know, it's just a free item, self-explanatory. But if you're already kind of leaning towards a comp like this, like if we're playing KDA, and it gives me Infinity Edge, which it does sometimes because it doesn't give you a Reforger like some of the others, you're stuck with an Infinity Edge the whole game. Infinity Edge can work good on AP comps, don't get me wrong, because now they changed it to where the crit chance will still allow your AP unit to crit at a higher value, so it's not too bad. And then Ally Caretaker, gain a random 2-cost champion now, gain the same one each and every time you level up. This is good. I mean, you get a free 3-cost unit, but then you'd have to start building your comp around this. Or you could just use it as a gold injection, right? You're gonna see me start working my way through these and reforging. Okay. So pump up isn't very good, guys. There's very few comps in which this is good. This is like good for like Big Shot or like Twisted Fates comp, where like attack speed starts mattering a bit more. Cybernetic Uplink, you can't ever go wrong with this. What I found is unless like you're rocking like Heart Steel, where you're going to be getting a ton of items and components and stuff, this feels very bad, especially when you're putting 6 items between your main tank and your carry. So unless you're sprinkling on these items elsewhere, and 80 health and 2 mana per second really isn't, you know, the grease that you want to get going. And Silver Veil is just disgustingly broken. It's basically a QSS for your whole team, and they all gain attack speed. So it's basically this, only 3% less, and some cheese on top. So like this right here, I don't know why you would ever take Pump Up. So that gives you guys a little bit of perspective for augment choices here, right? And the other thing I would tell you guys is, quit taking headliners if they're just bad. Like, you guys don't view that, nobody's probably ever told you this, but there's instances where you guys start off in the early game, like stage 2, where 3 costs are just too expensive to hold on to. Like, if you hit an Echo, it's too expensive to hold on to a 3 cost. No different than you holding on to a really bad headliner. The way I view it is, if I don't select a headliner right now, I'm getting free headliner rerolls, because every time I don't have a headliner in, I'm getting a free one that comes up that might be best fit my comp, such as like, let's say a Kennen perchance, and then I'm able to just swap it over. So we're going to buy the Lilia here. And then we're probably going to be taking the Jinx. And the reason for this is, 1, it's a good stabilizer because the rapid fire bonus gives my whole team attack speed, meaning that we're going to get the Giga Juice. And we know on 2-5 we'll be able to level up and then be able to get in KDA, which is a big boost for our whole team. And then we'll be sitting good. And this is what I mean by presenting strongest board, right? You kind of want to have it be a carry, so that way even if we're slamming AP items on the Jinx, when we go to pivot, you know, we're only selling our back headliner for our new carry, right? There's instances where your front tank is best to be a headliner, but more often than not, you'll be sticking with your carry, right? Because it's easier just to swap out your carry for when you're re-rolling. Jinx isn't too bad either because she does really well with attack speed, and we already have a whole augment that synergizes with attack speed. Cassante is infinite frontline in the early game, and this is what I mean by it's too expensive. You guys won't see me hold on to these. You know, I want this Lulu, Kaisa, and Evelyn. I just can't break interest for it. So, really important to keep your interest up in the early game. What sucks about having the crit glove is, you know, there's not a whole lot of things that build into it for our AP comp here, right? Especially making Last Whisper with the Nico. But Nico's too good to grab in the early game. You know. Now, I've made other videos about this for you old heads, because people don't watch all my content. The way I organize my brain when I'm playing the game is, I will put all of my pairs on the right side of my board, if you look down at my bench, and I'll put the units that I want going out onto my board on the left. So I know I want the Kennen to go out on my board next for Guardian and Superfan, and I know my pairs are on my right-hand side of my board, so now my brain's organized for when I roll or refresh, I know what's going on. And the other thing is, as you can see, I bring all of my units back one row, because for combats here, I want Cassante to be the first one getting hit, so that way the item generates more mana for him and gets him to cast his ability sooner, rather than Lilia running up and taking all this chip damage. I want my main tank with the item on it to be the one getting blasted first, right? Oh, this is tough here. I have to sell the Kaisa to make 20, even though I don't want to, you know. It feels bad when you sell pairs to make interest, but what you guys have to remember is those pairs are going to come back. When you guys have infinite gold or you do your roll downs on 4-1, 4-2, as long as you have a 1-cost copy, you're good. Don't get stuck in the sauce where you think you always are going to have to upgrade your stuff, right? Now you can see I got the Senna upgrade here, but I'm like thinking to myself, how are we fitting this out on the board? I don't see the best way to get that onto the board. I mean, is it nice? But yes, I'm not going to break my 40 gold interest to be able to go grab it today. And I'd also be thinking, how am I going to fit that out there? You know, we're not doing a true damage pivot at this point. We're a little bit railroading, right? So I'll go over it again for you guys. We'll go back here a little bit. So ramping rhythm, there we go. Rapid fire champions start combat with 4 stacks of attack speed from their trait, and they can now go up to 30 stacks. Now this is good if you're going punk reroll, but for what I'm playing, this isn't very good. So we're not going to go with it. Support cash will always be decent. Think of it as like a free +1 if we chose a cybernetic at the start. So this is like a item that this would be an augment that's good for cybernetic, and it also gives your like team a buff. Now support cash is really good with comps like KDA, because KDA already gives a juice bunch of stats with Sentinel, and then this just keeps layering more stats, right, over just making a giga juiced 1 unit, right? KDA is like a board buff versus like playing like a reroll comp, right? And then Little Buddies is always decent. I don't feel comfortable taking it, but Little Buddies is very good for, think of like verticals like Heartsteel, where like you're getting the Ezreal, the Lucian, you're keeping the Cassantes and all that other stuff out on your board that's still proc it, and then, you know, you're doing good. So probably gonna refresh Rampaging Rhythm off the start here, like you saw. And then the Forge here is always good, especially with Cybernetic, like we said before. But this is good when you're like rocking 2 carries, like you're rocking like Young carry and then like Riven carry, because it instantly spikes your board and gives your, let's say you have like the Titans, the Bloodthirster, or something else on the Yone, the Forge will instantaneously give like your Riven like 3 or 2 artifacts, so she's giga busted, so it's really good. Little Buddies reroll. Three's a Crowd is kind of good for this comp. It's like, this is Three's a Crowd, I feel like S tier if you're playing Samira reroll with Urgot, Amumu. That's where like Three's Crowd really goes well. I also think it can go really well with this comp for like, I played reroll Lulu with reroll Nico, reroll Ezreal, not Ezreal, reroll Echo, and that's where Three's Crowd can really start busting for you. So don't shy away from this. don't shy away from this, but I would also recommend you already have, you know, several 3 costs, like, upgraded. Like, I would have already had to have, like, Nico 2, and, like, maybe an Ezra, not Ezra, but Echo or something with some change, right? And then you guys want to think about what we're going to take here. I always hovered over it because all these items give you an ability +1. Shroud of Stillness is very good. Now, I'm old, guys, so if you want to go Shroud of Steel, this is always very good if you have the hotkeys, the Harlem Shake between boards, and actually get the Shroud off properly. Chalice of Power is hard because you want to get the KDA hexes, so you're always gonna have a unit not on the KDA hex, so that's kind of bad. Same thing with Banshees. So I go with ZZ Rock because it's just infinite frontline in the early game. It like gives you all the frontline you need for like stage 2 or stage 3, I mean, in this case, right? And once we get in this, Cannon 2 is a really big power spike. You can see me here for like super fans. I was hoping they would have bumped the Thieves Gloves, but it never did. So you have to do a whole combat now. I guess they did this for people's roll down so people don't get skamazed. To where my headliner, which is Jinx, she gets a Rage Blade, because I played enough Punk to know. And it would have bumped here, and then we would have had the Thieves Gloves out on the Cannon, and we would have had a Rage Blade on the Jinx. So you see how it bumps here? But then it makes you scared, because once the item bumps, it takes forever for it to appear on your bench sometimes, when you're, like, changing or whatnot, and then you feel like you're getting skamazed out of a combat, right? We're just keeping our interest high. We're not going to do a 3-7 roll down, right, guys? You know, are we a little low on HP? Not really, but kinda. You know, just got to be patient with what you're doing. Run a little bit of a 3-loss streak here. Keeping econ fundamentals here good. You know, we have a lot of just 1-star units on the board. We're going to go for the Nico pair here, probably. Even though they have 4 costs, but those 4 costs don't fit into it. If you are just going to go be playing Ari here, what you would do is you would see you have a bow, so you might as well make Nashers and go for health. Or you would go for like the tier, so that way you can guarantee blue or Sojin, right? And at this point, I was thinking to myself, it's like, okay, presenting strongest board. I'd like to put the Kaisa out there, and I can always sell her and transition over, right? Might as well put the bow on her too as well, because we're just popping her later and selling her. It's not too big of a deal. But Kaisa 2 infinitely stronger than Jinx 1 with Rage Blade, right? Especially because she has the KDA bonus on her. She gains a ton of stats. Hold on to the Samira here, or Seraphine. Be able to get that 5 KDA out on the board. I start looking at other people's boards, right? Like I'm scouting, I'm seeing what other people are brewing, what they're crafting, what they're throwing in their cauldron, call them Harry Potter. And we're seeing what they're going with. I'm seeing a lot of Aries. I'm seeing a lot of Twisted Fates. So I know on 4-1, 4-2, all these little goons who all they know what to do is they're going to be hard rolling down and seeing if they can hit RE2, meaning that I might not be able to get her, right? And I already got 3-4 Kaisas. You know, we're chilling. And at this point, you guys have to start making really big decisions. And this is why I tell you guys, don't pump all your gold into your XP bar while you're just chilling, because it eliminates options for you, right? So right now, for 2 costs, we have a 40% chance for 2 costs on our board, right? And I started to decide here, I'm probably going to go for Seraphine, not Seraphine, Kaisa 3. Because I don't see anybody holding her. I already had a few. And we're just going to keep rolling. And we're going to try to make the best board possible, or best items possible for Kaisa here. And I played Kaisa reroll before, guys, in the past too, by the way. I don't think it's the best. I think it gets outscaled by 2-star 4 costs incredibly hard, especially when you played when Sentinel was really busted. Sorry, this pops up so fast for your boy. Magic Wand is incredibly busted if you're playing Disco or you're playing KDA. You guys can take this, but as you can see, we're playing Kaisa carries, so I don't really care about it all that much. Return on investment here is giga good, because we are going to be refreshing a ton for Kaisa 3 in this case, but Inspiring Epitaph is just a great augment, because it just keeps, whenever an item dies, it gains, like, your whole front line that's going to have units and basically gives your other units shields and attack speed. It's just very good. Stationary support is very good. The reason why I don't like it is because, yet again, like the KDA hexes, so the target dummies that you put on the KDA hexes gets the buffs, but like, let's say it's like Randuin's Omen. It's very hard to have units stationed next to this, be able to get the buffs. I mean, in this case, like, our hex allows it because you can fit it like in between and bounce them around, but for the most part you can't always do that, right? So we re-rolled the Tactician's Crown because we never know, because we're 1 or 2 off Kaisa 3, and I don't want to just have to keep re-rolling for the crown. We're not going to be rocking something with Guardian. We only have 2 Guardians, so we take Inspiring Epitaph. We hit the Nico 3, or Nico 2 in this case. We're just going to keep rolling here, you know. I got to start hitting because people are going to be rolling for RE3, and if I don't hit my Kaisa, I'm going to start getting hit for a bajillion here, right? And we were able to hit the Kaisa. And it's also important to notice, I noted it in the game, but you guys will see it here in like a minute, is that there's another guy who is going Seraphine reroll and also buying up my Kaisas, is why I went down to 0 gold here, right? I would never usually go all the way down to 0 gold, but I don't want a guy holding like 6 Kaisas and I'm never able to hit her, right? And another thing to note, this is not Gigabisks on Kaisa. You do have her super fan item, right? Giga good for her. And Last Whisper is Giga good for her, but her next best item, guys. And I was so mad here that a Zed upgraded with just a Bloodthirster, 100 to 0s, my 5 KDA Kaisa 3 with 3 items. It's like, okay, whatever. But you really need Spear Sojin on her, or you need blue buff. Primarily Spear Sojin is what you need on Kaisa, because all of her damage really comes from her shooting out her MOBA W and smacking people up with it, right? She's more of a spell weaver than an auto attacker, but like I said, presenting strongest board, beggars can't be choosers, right? You gotta play what the game gives you and try your best to be the best player you can be, right? And be a little bit flexible. And I started bringing my other front line forward. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that the enemy units quit wrapping around and getting on my Kaisa. And I think that's the reason why I lost my last combat here, right? But now we're just saving up all of our gold, and we're going to be pushing up in tiers. We're going to probably be going to level 8 and seeing if we can get the Ahri out onto the board to be able to get the Spellweaver. It makes Echo very strong. It makes Seraphine very strong. It's just a good +1. I mean, we're not going to have perfect synergies here. You know, you can't always choose the upgrade that your headliner is going to give you. Like, if it gave us a big shot here, then we would just be going level 8 for another big shot like Corki to throw it on the board, or Ezreal, and then we would have, what, 4 big shot or something like that, and we'd be sitting real pretty. But not every game's cookie cutter. It's not like every game's a guide in terms of, you can't open up Mobalytics or something and play that every single game and hope for the best. You gotta play what the game gives you. So we do have the BS sword, so we didn't slam the bow. We still wouldn't have gotten Sojin here, which is no bueno. You know, but something to note, guys, you want to get the bling bonus for Echo. But when we sold the Cassante earlier, if we never slammed the bow on Kaisa, what we could have ended up doing was having the, what is that? I want to say Even Shroud, but that ain't right. The Adaptive Helm. We could have put that on Kaisa, so in the back line, she gained mana every few seconds, but she's all AD, right? So the AP wouldn't do any good for her. We pump levels here, so that way we can get out the Spellweaver, get a little plus something out on the board. Because the idea of us ever going 9 here is unrealistic, and the only upgrade we really need is Echo and Ahri at this point. Because we're never going plus Ultra and beyond from here. So, might as well just present strongest board and try to win out as many combats as we can and secure the highest place we can out on the board. We do hit the Echo 3. Now, since we're not going level 9 or 10, what do we do now? We can just chill and go for 3 stars, right? So we know that we have a 36% chance for 3 costs in this game. So we might as well end up going for Echo 3, Nico 3, or Misfortune. But more often than not, you're going to want to just decide on whichever one you get the most pairs for. Since we are going to be slamming all of our 80 items on Misfortune, because big shots are carry at this point, we might as well just go for Misfortune 3, right? And nobody else is holding Misfortune ever since they nerfed her, so all of hers should be in the pool, even if I don't grab this one out of the shop like a doofus. We know we already have... I start looking back at my board and seeing what items I have, because you don't want to have like a double Giant Slayer on your unit. It makes no sense, so we go for the Death Blade. I should have probably grabbed the Ezreal here, but I think Ezreal 1 is definitely weaker than Misfortune 2. And at this point, with these combats being so close and the HP being so bit close in the lobby, I'm really looking for a board that just kills the most amount of units as it possibly can. The hard part about the KDA hexes too, as you guys can see, is I can't have... The only way I can make this work, really, is if I put the Kaisa 1 hex right in front of the Misfortune. Because you want whatever unit that you have with your last Whisper to be hitting the same unit as your other AD unit hitting it, right? So ideally we would have, if we look at my board here, we'd have the Misfortune where the Ahri is. We'd have the Kaisa 1 hex up above it, so that way she's hitting it with the last Whisper, so that Misfortune's doing more damage to the unit with the shred getting reduced. But we're not perfect playing, you know. That's how you would usually want to go about it. Because Kaisa's going to be dashing around anyways, right? And at this point, I started making the decision to go for the Misfortune 3. Passing up on the Misfortune earlier was a big mistake. Or of the one unit, right? We already have a Sunfire, so it makes no sense to make Sunfire. You're better off finishing your third item on a unit rather than just get a +1 on something else, right? I know we have double S Whisper, but like I said earlier, it's better for positioning just to have it the way I have it right now. And I put my units all forward 1 hex to give that space, but also to get a Aspiring Epitaph out on the board, right? I don't know, I could be wrong, but when it comes to Yone and them Harlem shaking with Edgelord through the units, I think if you have them all frontline like this, it's much less likely that they're going to dash through all the way to your backline and be able to hit everything. But dude, this Yone 3 is like... I get he has like the... what is it? The Charm or Bond or whatever it is. That homie's eating like 4 nukes for like 1k damage from Kaisa. Passed up on a few Ezreals. Probably could have had a little bit of a stronger board if we had the Ezreal 2 at this point. But I was pretty dead set on hitting the Misfortune 3. Because I figured, you know, Misfortune 3's got to be stronger than Echo or Ezreal 2, but I'm probably actually wrong. We're just going to be going for the Misfortune here. And if we grabbed that 1 Misfortune at the start, guys, we would have hit Misfortune 3 here. So it goes to show that playing decisively from the start is very important. And this is where, like, your +1 item really does help out. So, like, if we went the Cybernetic here, we would have gained another unit with health and mana, right? Because at the end, at 5-1, usually you finish out all your components, you're left with 1 over, and then you get whatever item. Alright, have a wonderful day. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like and sub and whatnot. Have a wonderful day. Peace.